What's going on, guys? Before we get into the nuts and bolts of Tropical Storm Fiona, I wanted to start this video off with a rant. Will Fiona be impactful to parts of the Caribbean? Absolutely. But we are not looking at a situation where Fiona rapidly strengthens into the Leeward Islands into Puerto Rico. You need to know that. I've seen a lot of garbage on social media over the past 24 hours trying to scare people. You are not going to find that on this channel. Second, I really wanted to thank all the new subscribers and welcome everyone finding this channel for the first time. We talk all things weather. We have great conversations. If you want to be a part of this weather community, please smash that subscribe button and hit the alert bell, and you will be alerted to any time we post new content. Let's get to Fiona. Here is Tropical Storm Fiona, certainly firing off thunderstorms. The one thing we're noticing here on the visible satellite is its low-level center and mid-level center appear to be disconnected. You see that spin out here in the visible satellite, and then we have the thunderstorms firing back here. So there's evidence of the system being tilted. We talked in yesterday's video of there being dry air and wind shear to contend with, and that is one of the reasons why that we are not going to see Fiona rapidly strengthen, because we have that wind shear kind of blowing the thunderstorms back in this area, and again, keeping that low-level center and mid-level center separated. Think of the structure of a tropical system like a stack of pancakes. You want to have your stack completely vertical. You don't want it leaning one way or the other to lose your pancakes. Same deal with a tropical system. You want to have its low-level center and mid-level center stacked if the storm wants to intensify. Tropical storm watches are in play for parts of the Leeward Islands. That means that tropical storm conditions are possible within the next 48 hours, and that's going to be for Anguilla and St. Martin, getting into Antigua and Barbuda, into Montserrat, into St. Kitts, and Nevis. Here is the official forecast from the National Hurricane Center. Again, we are not just focused on the cone. Impacts extend beyond the cone. This is just where the center could bounce around. So again, pay attention to that. Clicking on these little icons are going to show us the official forecast again from the Hurricane Center. A 60-mile-per-hour storm is expected. As it moves through the Leeward Islands, we're going to start to see impacts from this late Friday night. That's going to be on the 16th. There's the afternoon of the 16th. Once we move into the overnight into early Saturday morning, the 17th, the center likely passing somewhere around Antigua and Barbuda. And then it'll be en route to Puerto Rico, impacting the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. Culebra as well. Tropical Storm Fiona, still a 60-mile-per-hour storm. At least that's what it's expected to be as we move into early Sunday, September 18th. Now, there's going to be a little bit of uncertainty in its post-Puerto Rico life. You see the cone gets wider to account for that model error and climatological error. But nonetheless, if it does take this northerly track, it will leave us alone in the Turks and Caicos, although something to pay attention to. Also note that if it does go on this northerly route, it will likely become stronger. Water very warm, it gets out of some of that wind shear, and then we're going to have to pay close attention in Bermuda. If it takes the southern end of the track, we're going to have to pay a little closer attention in parts of the Dominican Republic and Haiti. So again, everybody in the Northern Caribbean islands needs to be paying close attention to Fiona's progression over the next few days. I want to show you the spaghetti plots, and then we're going to get into some high-res modeling here into the Leeward Islands and into Puerto Rico over the next few days. Good agreement from the models there in the short term to take the center of Fiona right on through the northern side of the Lesser Antilles. That's us in the Leeward Islands, eventually into the U.S. and British Virgin Islands as we get into Saturday into Sunday, and then mainly Sunday for Puerto Rico. You see the uncertainty grow, the model spread. Again, each one of those lines there represents a different model solution of Fiona. Some models want to take this north quick and send it towards Bermuda. Others, though, want to keep it on the southern end and then take it towards us in the Turks and Caicos and the Bahamas. So again, still a good deal of uncertainty post Puerto Rico, so important to pay attention in the Turks and Caicos, in the Bahamas, and also in Bermuda. All right, so we are fast forwarding now to Friday night, and you see here, looks like it's going to be eastern loaded. Again, it is one of the components of there being some wind shear. It's kind of blowing all the weather off to the east. Still, though, we are seeing some rain impact parts of the Leeward Islands as we move into Friday night. So Antigua and Barbuda, Be on the lookout for that. That's going to continue into St. Martin. Eventually, as we roll into Saturday, it's going to start to get closer to the Virgin Islands, both US and British. You see the darker red indicating the very heavy rain as it moves through the British Virgin Islands and US Virgin Islands. And then eventually, here's us in Puerto Rico. Now, this is the American GFS, and this is one of the models that does lift it north of Puerto Rico. So we are looking at the sustained wind speeds now on the GFS model. And again, we're not looking at anything too extreme, but it's not going to be a walk in the park per se on the island either. You see some darker yellows and oranges popping back up. That's going to be anywhere from 46 to 55 knots. Again, we could have sustained winds pushing 60 miles an hour. And then that outside shot for gusts closer to hurricane force. It's going to be about 75 miles an hour. Again, those will be gusts, so we're not talking about sustained that high. But as we move forward in time, notice again that wind field kind of expands out as it moves into the Virgin Islands and eventually Puerto Rico. Rain is also going to be a player in this, and likely the main impact here, especially on the islands where we have the higher terrain. You see that bullseye here, that pretty much marks the GFS's idea of where Fiona is going to go. And you see the darker yellows and purples popping up. That indicates where we could have double-digit rainfall amounts. So again, most of the Leeward Islands could see 10 plus inches of rain out of the deal. Again, Puerto Rico, we're not in that yet, but a caution that this is just the American GFS saying that the storm is going to go north of us in Puerto Rico. That is not a foregone conclusion. Again, we are smack dab the center of the cone, and we are likely also going to see heavy rain, the potential for flash flooding, and likely at least tropical storm force wind gusts as we move into Saturday night and Sunday again for the island of Puerto Rico. Looking at the European ensembles, a lot of numbers, a lot of colors on this map. The number represents the pressure that each member thinks that it is going to be at that certain forecast point. You're looking, though, for the darker yellows and oranges, indicating that we have more of the members close by. And you see the consensus is trying to put this north of us in the Dominican Republic and Haiti towards the Turks and Caicos. And then you see that bullseye of the ensemble members try to turn Fiona as we get north of the Turks and Caicos, north of Bahamas. But again, you see the spread. We have numbers up here. We have numbers down towards us in Jamaica. So there's still a very wide spread in the modeling. So again, something that we're going to have to pay close attention to, even as far northwest as South Florida. I do think this is going to turn. I think it's going to favor a turn around the Turks and Caicos and then going up the eastern seaboard and out to sea. But the pattern is really crazy over the lower 48 of the United States. And if a cold front or dip in the jet stream takes a while to get here, that could change some things. So again, always something to be mindful of, especially with how warm the water is in the Gulf of Mexico and off the southeast corner of the United States. So the moral of the story is that we are likely going to see tropical storm conditions in the Leeward Islands starting on Friday night. That'll continue into Saturday, and then eventually as we move into Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands later in the day Saturday and into Sunday. And then that uncertainty comes into play, that post-Puerto Rico life. We're going to be watching that closely for you guys. Again, we are not going to hype this up. I'm going to tell it like it is. Impacts are likely. It could be decent impacts at times, especially with the heavy rain, tropical storm force winds, but we are not looking at a major hurricane by any means. And again, I know there's some of that junk floating around out there on social media. Just be careful of what you see. Be careful of where you are getting that information. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. We love having you with us and love having you be a part of this community. Post where you're watching from in the comments. If you're new to this channel, we would love to have you in this weather community. We have a lot of fun breaking down the weather with you guys. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that alert bell, and we'll catch you next time.